the 2012 budget year?
I'll ask.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Penna?
Well, through the county, there are several aerial maps of Eureka Springs. I realize that's a real wow as far as looking at it and being able to, other than reading license plates on the map, that's great. But considering the tree canopy in Eureka Springs, even if the pictures are taken in December, there's an awful lot of, and I worked on this, as Mr. Berry mentioned. You know, we've been working on this for 4, 5, 6 years trying to get updated maps for Eureka Springs, and it seems like we just go every which way. And I spent considerable time with the 911 department, Candy Balcom, whenever Planning Commission was in limbo because council at that time wouldn't approve any applicants to sit on planning, so we were kind of lack of a quorum. And it was interesting because the county has a contract that they're doing all the GIS mapping of Carroll County, and I don't know what, because I haven't talked to Candy for well over a year now, but they were at one point in time supposed to be doing Eureka Springs as far as a lot of the Mets and Bounds type location of the way the city is, and going along with what Ms. Blankenship said earlier, it's a little ridiculous to waste money if we don't have anything that's useful, because I know there's been several decisions made in the past that came before planning or the Board of Zoning Adjustments whenever you're looking at split zoning on a particular property and things like that, where it needs to be a little bit more exact. And if you go back and look at the original zoning ordinance, I happened upon a copy of the original ordinance that was issued, and the only thing that they did was they included a map for zoning, and that map is barely legible unless there's a better copy in the safe somewhere that was provided to me by a former planning commissioner from years ago. And I would really, before we jump into taking pictures of the city from the sky, number one, weighing in with the department heads to see if they're really going to use them. Number two, everything else that I think we've got greater needs than having aerial photos of Eureka Springs. It just between the zoning map situation, money, and it could end up being more. It just, I'm sorry, I couldn't support spending 50 cents right now on aerial photography for Eureka Springs.
Any further?
Can I say something about that?
Yes, ma'am.
It's going to happen anyway. The whole county is going to be photographed. If we throw in, then we can get more detail. The 12-inch doesn't give very good resolution. So whether the city contributes or not, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of the quality of the product. And the second thing is that the zoning map is a whole different product altogether at this point. It's a much more low-tech, easy to transport thing than something that involves using a computer. So I would encourage you to not try to mix them up just yet until we have better computers.
Mr. Berry?
As Mr. DeVito said, can you find out what the other cities are contributing?
There is no commitment yet. Everybody's holding off until November. They're calculating, I know that Berryville and Eureka from the air are about the same number of square miles. That's 7. Right. But in terms of actual dollars, no. We don't know yet.
Yes.
And I guess the other question has to do with the budget. And Mr. Mayor, do you have any idea when you will be presenting the budget to the council?
The complete budget?
For 2012?
Hopefully within the next couple of weeks. Get Yvonne back from vacation. We're sitting down working on it. We'll get the mid-year resolution in here now. So
I'm talking about for next year.
Yeah,
so.
no, not yet.
But we should have something within the next couple of weeks.
Should have,
saying.
yes.
Okay.
I'm making a point to do that. Any further? Nothing else. We move on to unfinished business. Number 1 is dog control update, postponed until today. Deferred to Mr. Pownell.
I had a fairly long discussion with Mr. Evans the other day in setting up to return a live animal trap, and the biggest situation is he's spending probably 2 to 3 times more than what the budget for the independent contractor budget is in the police department for animal control. Not that he's complaining about that, but there's been times that he's been talking with me that he's gotten calls on his day off that, you know, go get a raccoon out of the dipsy dumpster and things like that. And one of the things that we came up with, there's definitely a need to address in the ordinance the fine, because it seems to be a lot of repeat offenders that it doesn't seem to get their attention. And the other thing is disposition of the cases. The one that started this whole thing has still not even been adjudicated yet, and he can't seem to get an answer, and we're working on that. And I was hoping to have a phone call back from him before tonight's meeting as far as what's happened. But apparently there's a disconnect with the concern from the citizens and the concern from the court. So I don't know what the answers are until Mr. Evans can get some figures back to me as far as the number of tickets he's written. He's of the opinion right now that unless things change, he's writing tickets that nothing's happening on. There's been one case where the guy pled guilty, took care of the dog, and paid the fine. And other than that, he's just killing more trees. So that's the latest where we're at right now until we get an update from the court status and the number of tickets and what's been adjudicated.
Any questions? All right. Mr. Weaver.
I would ask that you speak with the clerk. The clerk prepared of the court prepared a list for you, and I believe Mr. Parker Raphael, council member, said he was going to go and ask for what was going on with the adjudication some months ago of cases that had been prosecuted. There have been a great number of cases that have been prosecuted in which individuals have pled guilty before they go to trial. There are others that are set for trial. In the state of Arkansas, trial is not held the day after you're charged with a crime. We have a 3-step system in place in our court. You have an arraignment date. If you plead not guilty, you're given a plea discovery date. That is an opportunity to negotiate a settlement or an adjudication of the case. And if that falls through, then you're given a trial date. That system is standard for whether you're cited for a dog ordinance, or whether you're cited for a DWI, or whether you're cited for any other type of offense. It's not uncommon for that process to take 5, 6, or 7 months, whether you're charged with speeding and you wish to have a trial, or whether you're charged with a DWI, or whether you're charged with a dog violation. It's a fair system. It's a system set up to give everyone an opportunity to have their case properly brought before a trial. If, as Mr. Evans is concerned about some of these not falling through the cracks, I'd encourage you all to go look. I don't think you'll find any falling through the cracks. There are ones that are pleading guilty, paying fines, or being otherwise adjudicated. There are others that are going through the system, and it does take a while. It's not, as you might have experienced in the Old West, the judge sets on your trial the day after you commit the crime. Our system doesn't provide for that.
Anything else? If not, we'll move on to number 2 under unfinished business, the vacation of Palapinto, which was postponed until November 3rd by the Planning Commission. Motion to discuss.
It's postponed until November 3rd.
Okay. All right. Just want to make sure that y'all didn't want to change anything. All right, number 3 is non-conforming off-premise signs postponed until code, so that one's postponed also. Update on alcohol tax, CAPC, right to collect, postponed until October the 6th today. Me, Mr. Weaver, would you take the floor? Oh, motion to discuss. Let's do that first.
So moved.
Second.
Made and seconded. Mr. Weaver?
The clerk and I have received, or the clerk received from the CAPC some information. Her and I met earlier this week to review that, and we have came to the conclusion that we would like to ask some further questions of the alcohol beverage control people. I've took that upon myself to try to contact them and get an answer from them. I've not been able yet to obtain contact directly with either of the 2 attorneys that we had spoke with previously, and I'm hoping that that will transpire in the next day or 2. I do not see anything at this point specifically that appears that we are collecting improperly, but we want to check that with the ABC, and then if we see problems, or if we've also been in contact, or Madam Clerk has, with Mr. Schoen repeatedly, and we were seeking his opinion, but that's not been forthcoming because he wants some additional information, which I believe we're going to also provide him if we don't get a clear answer from the ABC.
Questions? Any further discussion? Motion to postpone till November meeting, first or second time?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right, made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No, motion carried. Postpone until, which meeting do you want to postpone it till?
November 3rd.
Okay, that meeting then. All right, next on the agenda is Operations Manual for Finance Department, postponed until today. Ms. Balance, Dr. Kirkpatrick. Motion to discuss.
Excuse me, I don't know why it says postponed until today. Actually, we have tried several times, I think, to postpone it until the new finance director is hired. Same goes for number 6.
Okay.
These are both issues that I think it would be very appropriate for a new finance director, if we move in that direction, to have input
Okay.
on.
Until y'all decide if you're going to outsource or not, I'm not going to be in a big hurry to hire anybody.
Fine.
So y'all can act accordingly, yeah, with that information. Until I know it's a solid position, it's not going to be messed with.
So number 5 is postponed until a new finance director is hired. Same for number 6.
Is that a motion? Since you changed it.
Sure. I move to postpone this until a new finance director is hired.
Second.
Made and seconded. Further discussion on it?
You're talking 5 and 6?
Yes, apparently.
Sure.
That's the way it was always supposed to be, and all of a sudden today shows up in the last couple of agendas. I thought it was originally moved to postpone both of those decisions until a new
I
finance
think
director
last agenda said it
I
was
believe you're
postponed until
correct.
today,
Yes, they did.
with the
but
date on it. October the 6th.
We don't know how it got to be that way.
Mr. Vito?
I don't see any need for them to be postponed at all. I would just assume they not be on our ledger. I mean, we've got 21 items, and these have been on there for 6 months. There's no need to keep postponing them. Let's just leave them off until the time is right. They can be put back on the agenda at that time. It's just a waste of ink.
Any other comments? Doc?
I have to agree. I have to agree with Mr. DeVito.
Okay. All right, Mr.
I agree, but at the same time, it's very easy to let all this fall under the carpet. If there's some way that these can be tracked by either the clerk's office, the mayor's assistant, or someone, I have no objections of taking them off the agenda, but the minute we do, we're back in the process of having to have two people sponsoring it and getting it approved to be put on the agenda when it's already there.
Mm-hmm. Mr. DeVito?
If these issues have merit, if these issues have importance, they will be remembered, they will be endorsed by 2 council people at the appropriate time. If they fall between the cracks, then there's no interest in these items.
Okay. Any further? If not, we'll vote. Roll call vote on this one.
Please,
We'll start.
please repeat the
We're going
motion.
to start using roll call votes on most everything.
My understanding was that Ms. Balance motioned to postpone until a new finance director is hired, items 5 and 6 under unfinished business, and Mr. Raphael seconded.
Everybody understand it? All right. All in favor, say aye. Oh, I'm sorry. Roll call vote. My bad. I got ahead of myself. Moving along.
Parker Raphael,
Yes.
Dean Kirkpatrick,
No.
James DeVito,
No.
Ken Von
Yes.
Lenny Balance,
Yes.
Butch Berry.
No.
4 yeses, 2 nos.
Excuse me?
Wait, excuse me, sorry.
3-3.
It is 3-3, my apology. So it's up to you.
Take them off. That would be.
So you are voting,
Not to wait, not to postpone.
the motion is to
Mayor can only vote to pass.
postpone
All right.
until-
So if it's a negative vote, then I don't vote.
Vote to,
Right.
3-3, it doesn't
Okay.
pass.
He doesn't vote anyway.
I'm sorry?
There wouldn't be a vote unless you were
No,
voting.
not a
to
negative vote, that's correct,
sustain
yes.
the-
Yes. Okay. Okay, so they are postponed until a new finance director is hired, is that correct?
No, they're just off the agenda,
Okay, off the
period.
agenda. There again, they can be brought back with 2